This is to do with the Battle of Towton in 1461, which you may know is reputed to be the largest and bloodiest battle fought on English soil. It won't surprise you to learn, of course, that it isn't, and that is part of my research. So the research starts really with two papers delivered at the International Medieval Congress in Leeds in 2024 and 2025, both of which were funded by OpenARC. And that also, it's very squeaky there, isn't it? That was wonderful because it also gave me the opportunity to meet and speak with people from local history societies, so the Towton Battlefield Society and also the Wakefield History Society. And I also met for the first time my collaborator, who's a local historian called Paul Dawson, who we're doing this work together. So I've been working on the Wars of the Roses for 30 years, and although I am a military historian, I'd never really looked at the battles of the Wars of the Roses. And it became very clear once I started that actually nobody had done any work on this, on any serious academic research on this for over 100 years. And the narratives were basically those compiled by Victorian historians and largely based on very accessible Tudor sources, Edward Hall being the main one, and the editorial choices of Victorian scholars. And that has really sort of shaped the narrative. What that meant, though, for me coming into this as someone who, you've guessed, is not from Yorkshire, but who currently lives in Kent, was I got a lot of challenge, basically. I got a challenge from very entrenched local views about their history. If you've ever been to Towton Battlefield, you will know that there is something called the Dacre's Cross. The Dacre's Cross is a medieval cross, which many people think was put there to remember the death of Lord Dacre, who unfortunately took his hat off, his helmet off during the battle, and was struck by a crossbow bolt fired by a small boy hiding in a tree. I mean, anyway, but this has become the centre of commemoration because people from Yorkshire and then from Lancashire leave their white roses and their red roses on the monument, and they feel real ownership of this. Now, one of the things, of course, that becomes very uncomfortable very quickly is when you explain to them that the Lancastrians were mainly from Yorkshire and the Yorkists were mainly from Kent and London. But completely, you're right, Sinead, it blows their mind. So that's one of the challenge. The second challenge is that while there has been no history done on it, there has been a lot of archaeology. And many of you will know of the 1995 discovery of the mass grave at Towton Hall, which demonstrated the brutality of medieval warfare. I mean, I don't think anybody really thought that it was anything other than brutal, but this apparently confirmed people's suspicions. The problem with that, of course, is that it was archaeology that was fitted around an existing Victorian narrative. The scientific research was limited because of the limitations of, for example, radiocarbon dating in 1995, which, and this is something that wasn't stressed, only gave a 65% probability that the skeletons actually were within the 70-year range that would have encompassed the Battle of Towton. Subsequent research by Paul and myself has discovered that actually in 1579, there's a documented murder or slaughter of 89 rebels in the Northern Rebellion from 1569, actually in Towton. So there's scientific research to do on this. And as we've gone through this research, it's basically become abundantly clear to us that there is no contemporary evidence whatsoever of the village of Towton being involved in the fighting on Palm Sunday. Now, this is unfortunate in another way because one of the things that Paul and I did last year was write an article in which we argued there was no battle at Wakefield either. So we're kind of going through Yorkshire battles and kind of ticking them off, which is unfortunate. In terms of publications and so public engagement, this book, which is by far the most colourful book I've ever published of my many books called The Wars of the Roses. All my books have the same title. This one is notable, for the cover. That is actually published by Trade Press, Helium, which are one of the sort of the largest sort of trade military presses in the UK, and that title was actually their best-selling title for the last quarter of 2025. If you look on Google, Towton is now at a 5-year high in Google searches. And that is driven by sort of a lot of social media work that we've been done, as well with partners in the Wakefield History Society and the Battlefields Trust. So the Battlefields Trust has been very supportive in this, and they have updated on their website their account of the Battle of Towton to reflect this new research, which is a great example of this. Now, the third event which OpenARC have funded is this weekend in Wakefield. We are having a free public event at the Wakefield Exchange. It fits about 400 people in, where Paul and myself are in debate, I guess we will be, with Tim Sutherland, the archaeologist who discovered the 1995 mass grave. So it's a free public event, and again, it's something that we have to approach sensitively, because it's not about, it is about, but we can't say that it's about diminishing the existing research. But one of the things that we want to do is basically make it clear to people that there are many other places in that park between Ferrybridge. If you may know, I've been to the motorway service station at Ferrybridge. Well, Ferrybridge is probably where the largest Battle of the Wars of the Roses was actually fought. Between Ferrybridge and York, there are numerous places that we know from contemporary sources were involved in that fighting on Palm Sunday 1461. It wasn't just Towton. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do, and hopefully that will lead to an extended battlefield trail, which will lead people to the registered battlefield, but make it clear that there are other sites too. So that's where we are with the Battle of Towton.